The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the kitchen that morning, mixing with the ocean breeze drifting in through a cracked window. Piper sat at the table, flipping half-heartedly through a home decor magazine. The glossy pages caught the soft California sunlight spilling across the marble counter, wrapping the room in a calm golden glow, the kind of peaceful morning she used to dream about when life still felt predictable. Ryan stood by the stove, a gray apron tied around his waist, humming under his breath as he fried eggs just the way she liked them. Runny yolks, lightly salted. He glanced over his shoulder. 2 slices or 3? 2, she said, forcing a tired smile. He smirked. Only 2? I thought those fancy coffee capsules you love would at least earn me 3. She laughed, a real laugh, the kind that caught her off guard. Fine 3. But only because you guilt-tripped me before breakfast. Ryan grinned, sliding the toast onto her plate before kissing her forehead. I don't want to guilt you into anything, he murmured. I just want you to fall in love with me again. Every day. Warmth spread through her chest. He always knew what to say. The look in his eyes, the softness in his voice, how easily his words could smooth over the cracks. And yet, something underneath had shifted. Their perfect routines felt rehearsed lately, as if he were following a script. So, she said, stirring her coffee, trying to sound casual, what happened last night? You came home pretty late. Ryan turned to the sink, rolling up his sleeves, rinsing the pan with almost obsessive focus. A meeting, he said. The merger I told you about. My boss wanted to go over numbers again during dinner. You know how he is. Piper watched him carefully. He wouldn't meet her eyes. His attention stayed fixed on a spot that didn't need cleaning. You could have called, she said quietly. I was worried. Damn, honey, he said, drying his hands. I figured you'd be asleep. Didn't think you'd even notice. I noticed, she said softly. I always notice. He sat beside her, taking her hand. I'm sorry. Next time I'll call. You deserve that. His tone was gentle, his expression sincere, but the space between them felt heavy, like the morning fog that sometimes crept over Santa Barbara. In the beginning, he'd been so thoughtful, leaving little notes on the mirror, making playlists of her favorite songs, remembering every date she forgot. He still did some of those things, but now it felt mechanical, like love had turned into routine. You know what I was thinking? He asked suddenly. What? We should get away for the long weekend. Just you and me. Somewhere quiet, maybe at the coast near Big Sur. A nice hotel, good wine, no work. Just us. She smiled faintly. That sounds nice, Ryan. He squeezed her hand, eyes softening. I miss you. Even when you're sitting right here. Piper exhaled slowly. I miss you too, she said. Though what she really missed was the trust that used to live in his eyes, the simple comfort of knowing she was safe beside him. That night, the low hum of the blender filled the kitchen. Ryan poured a thick golden juice into 2 glasses. Fresh passion fruit, he said with a calm smile, handing her one. It had become their nightly ritual, his way of helping her relax. You've worked hard today, he would say, brushing his thumb over her hand. You deserve to rest. Piper always drank it gratefully. Within minutes, her body would grow heavy, her thoughts fading until sleep pulled her under. Night after night, the same thing. And once she was out, Ryan would close the curtains, check the locks, and disappear into the bedroom with a phone she had never seen before. Behind those closed doors, Ryan became someone else, a version of himself she'd never met. His voice dropped to a whisper as he spoke to women over the phone, his tone intimate, practiced, disturbingly gentle. Careful with the stairs, he'd say when they arrived, leading them inside like the house was his alone. They'd laugh nervously, following him down the same hallway where Piper slept, unaware and motionless in the next room. Each morning, Piper woke with a strange heaviness, a dull headache, a faint metallic taste in her mouth. She blamed stress, poor sleep, maybe dehydration. You're pushing yourself too hard, Ryan would say, buttering her toast with exaggerated care. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. His words were soothing, his smile tender, yet something in her twisted uneasily. One night, she woke to a faint sound, a floorboard creaking, a whisper just beyond her door. Her eyes fluttered open, but her body wouldn't move. Through blurred vision, She saw a shadow glide through the hallway. She tried to call his name but couldn't speak. A thick, unnatural drowsiness pulled her under again. The next morning, she mentioned it lightly over breakfast. "I had a weird dream," she said. "It felt like someone was walking around the house." Ryan chuckled softly, brushing his lips over her hand. "A dream, honey. You were out cold. If you heard something, it was probably me getting a glass of water." He sounded so calm, so convincing, that she let it go, though somewhere deep down, a quiet alarm had started to ring. While Piper slept each night, Ryan spent hours on dating sites, using photos of their home, carefully cropped to erase any sign of her, and reinventing himself as a single man with impeccable taste. To his guests, he played the perfect host: soft jazz, dim lighting, wine chilled just right. The illusion was flawless. Until Brooke. She arrived one Friday night, her heels clicking softly against the flagstone walkway. Ryan opened the door, composed as ever. "Be discreet," he said quietly. She smiled, curiosity flickering behind her calm expression. Inside, she noticed the house was too perfect, spotless in a way that didn't feel lived in. A folded sweater on the couch. A mug of tea still warm on the coffee table. A half-read book left open beside it. "Do you live alone?" she asked, her tone playful. Ryan chuckled, swirling his wine. "Not exactly. My wife lives here too. But she won't bother us." Brooke froze. "Your wife? And you brought me here." He shrugged casually. "Relax. She won't wake up. I give her something to help her sleep every night. She never suspects a thing." He said it like it was nothing, like he was talking about a bedtime routine, not a confession. Brooke's pulse quickened, but she forced a smile. "She never notices?" "She trusts me," Ryan said evenly. "And even if she did, by then it'd be too late." Brooke picked up her phone, pretending to check her messages. Her heart pounded as she saw his phone lying unlocked on the coffee table. Casually, she leaned forward, glanced at his contacts, and spotted one labeled wife. She snapped a quick photo of the number, locked the screen, and set the phone back exactly as it was. Then, steadying her breath, she stood. "I'm going to the bathroom," she said. "Take your time, gorgeous," Ryan replied with a smile. Inside the bathroom, Brooke locked the door and leaned against it, her chest rising and falling fast. She opened her phone, saved the number, and typed a message, the kind that could change everything. But she didn't send it. Not yet. She had to get out of that house first. And once she did, she promised herself she'd make sure the truth came out. That afternoon had a calm that made Piper feel safe, or at least she told herself it did. The sun hung low over the suburban street, spilling honeyed light across the kitchen walls. The clock above the stove read 5:45 p.m. She shut her laptop, stretched, and let herself savor being done with another long day working from home. Ryan wasn't back yet. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the ceiling fan and the distant crash of waves from the Santa Barbara coast. Piper loved this hour, when the air smelled faintly of sea salt and the light washed the countertops in warm tones. She moved to the windowsill where her basil and lavender basked in the last of the day. The mix of herbs and the sweet scent of an orange cake cooling on the counter made the moment feel almost perfect. Then her phone buzzed. She wiped her hands on her apron, not rushing. The number on the screen was unknown. No name, no photo. For a second, she considered ignoring it. Curiosity won. She opened the message. "Don't drink anything your husband gives you tonight." The words felt like a physical blow. Piper froze, fingers trembling so hard the phone nearly slipped. She read the message twice, then a third time, hoping the meaning would change. It didn't. Her eyes darted around the kitchen. The half-full mug, the kettle still warm, the quiet that suddenly felt too still. She tried to laugh it off, a thin sound. "Must be some mistake," she whispered, but it didn't sound like her. The thought of it being a joke never took root. A dark unease wound through her chest and settled there. By the time Ryan came home, she had forced herself not to show panic. He stepped in with his usual charm, flowers in one hand, a bottle of her favorite passion fruit juice in the other. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, smiling like nothing could touch them. "Rough day." "The usual," she said, returning a weak smile. I made this just for you. He poured a glass, golden and inviting. You've been tense lately. This'll help you relax. He brushed her shoulder. Her fingers felt rigid as she took the glass. Thanks, honey. You always take care of me. Inside, the text replayed like a warning. Don't drink it. When Ryan turned to grab something, Piper moved, quiet and quick. She poured most of the juice into the potted fern by the window and left a thin layer in the glass to make it believable. She lifted the rim to her lips and pretended to sip. She said, forcing a smile. Really fresh. He beamed. Knew you'd like it. Now go relax. She sank onto the couch and pretended to unwind, but her body was tense, every muscle coiled. She kept her breathing steady, eyelids heavy in the practiced way of someone pretending to sleep, waiting for him to leave. That night she did not sleep. In the morning, Ryan hummed in the shower as if everything were perfect. Piper sat on the bed with his phone in her hands. He was careful. No incriminating messages. No stray photos. His life looked scrubbed clean, the version he wanted her to see. The house felt staged. The made bed, the polished floors, the lingering scent of his cologne that used to comfort her. Now it felt like a beautiful lie. I need proof, she whispered. Later she stopped at a small electronics shop on State Street. A young clerk showed her a sleek digital clock. Hidden camera inside, he said. Good audio, full HD. I'll take 2, Piper replied. Back home she moved through her evening like nothing had changed, made dinner, laughed at Ryan's corny jokes, kissed him on the cheek. While he showered, she set one clock on the nightstand and the other on the dresser, both angled toward the kitchen and living room. The camera LEDs blinked faintly, tiny witnesses. That night Ryan brought the drink again. You deserve a peaceful night, he said, handing her the glass with practiced tenderness. I'm exhausted, she murmured. Just want to sleep. Sweet dreams, baby. Lights out. The house fell silent. This time Piper lay awake, heart pounding, the soft glow of the hidden camera watching from across the room. Every creak made her flinch. Minutes stretched. Time slowed. Sometime after midnight, she heard the front door click. Footsteps. A woman's shadow moved down the hallway. Piper didn't move or breathe. She didn't need to see more to know what was happening. At dawn, she sat on the edge of the bed, trembling, and hit play. The footage showed Ryan in the kitchen, calm, methodical. He opened the fridge, set the juice on the counter, reached into a drawer for a small transparent vial, twisted off the cap with a soft click. With clinical precision, he poured a colorless liquid into her glass, stirred, and smiled. The same easy, perfect smile he'd worn for months. Piper covered her mouth as tears blurred the screen. She kept watching. There he was, carrying the glass to the living room, offering it with those gentle eyes. And there she was on the couch, trusting, unaware that every night she'd been slipping into a chemically induced sleep. By morning, Ryan was out for his run, waving at neighbors, the devoted husband. Piper stared at her reflection, pale, rawed, steady. She hardly recognized the woman looking back. It's over, she said to herself. She did the day the way she always had, watered the plants, answered emails, smiled at Ryan's jokes. When he took her hand and said, I don't know what I'd do without you, she managed a faint smile. Neither do I, she replied. But inside, everything had changed. That night she poured his drink down the sink while he wasn't looking, then lay in bed, eyes open in the dark, listening to him move through the house. Every step sounded like a countdown. The next morning she called the one person she trusted, Tyler. Piper? You sound off. Are you okay? He asked. I need your help, she said. And you can't tell anyone. Not yet. Where are you? I'll come right now. When they met, she showed him everything, the videos, the hidden cameras, the nights she'd blamed on stress. Her voice didn't shake. It was calm and cold. I'm going to end this, she said. No shouting. No drama. I want to destroy him quietly. Tyler squeezed her hand. He'll pay for this. I promise. She nodded. He will. Soon. With Tyler's help, she contacted Attorney Mitchell. Discreet, sharp-eyed, used to delicate cases. At the downtown Santa Barbara notary office the next morning, Mitchell watched the footage, jaw tightening. This is more than enough, he said finally. You did the hard part, Mrs. Caldwell. The court will handle the rest. Piper's voice stayed low and steady. I don't just want justice. I want him to know he picked the wrong woman to cross. That evening she went home. Ryan greeted her with a kiss and the usual small talk. How was your day, he asked. Long, she said quietly. I just want to relax. He had no idea his world was about to fall apart, or that the woman in front of him was no longer someone he could control. The next morning, Piper left before Ryan stirred. Her bag held the cameras and the recordings. The sun was barely up over the red-tiled roofs when she pulled into the sleek downtown office building. Tyler was already there, leaning against his car, coffee in hand. You okay? He asked as she climbed out. Better than ever, she said, voice steady, eyes clear. They rode the elevator to the 8th floor, where Attorney Mitchell waited in a glass-walled conference room with a Pacific view. He spent the hour enhancing the footage, enlarging still frames, and listening to every captured whisper. When he was done, he exhaled. This is irrefutable, he said. Piper set her jaw. I want the police there. No shouting, no public spectacle. I want them to take him away for what he is, quietly, in handcuffs. That afternoon, Piper drove through the calm, tree-lined streets of her Santa Barbara neighborhood. Her heart beat differently now, not with fear, but with purpose. When she stepped into the house, the familiar scent of garlic and onions met her. Ryan stood at the stove, humming softly, stirring a pot of pasta sauce as if nothing in the world could touch him. Hey, honey, he said without turning around. Where'd you go so early? You didn't say anything. I had some errands, Piper replied evenly, setting her bag down on the counter. Mostly bank stuff. He nodded absently, still stirring, completely unaware that a Santa Barbara police car sat quietly at the end of the street, its engine off, 2 officers waiting for the signal. As the late afternoon light turned golden, Piper's voice called from the study. Ryan, can you come here for a second? I need to show you something. He walked in, wiping his hands on a dish towel, smiling casually. Sure, what's up? She handed him her phone. On the screen was a paused video, the exact moment his hand tilted a small vial over her glass. He blinked, confused for a heartbeat. Then the color drained from his face. Piper, this isn't. It's not what it looks like. She folded her arms. Don't insult me. I know exactly what it is. He stepped forward, voice trembling. We can talk about this, okay? Just between us. No reason to. Before he could finish, 2 Santa Barbara police officers entered through the front door, Attorney Mitchell close behind. One officer held the warrant. The other, the handcuffs. Ryan Carter, the officer said firmly, you're under arrest. Ryan's face twisted in panic. Wait. I can explain. I love you, Piper, he shouted as they pulled his arms behind his back. Piper didn't move. Her voice was calm, almost cold. Now you'll know what it's like to fall asleep not knowing if you'll wake up. The door closed behind them, and for the first time in years, the silence in the house wasn't suffocating. It was clean, light, free. That night, Piper stayed at Tyler's apartment in Goleta, not as a victim, not as a betrayed woman, but as someone who had taken her life back. For the first time in years, she slept deeply. No pills, no fear, no nightmares. When morning came, the sky stretched wide and bright. The ocean breeze brushed against her skin as she sat on a park bench near the Santa Barbara Mission, watching sunlight flicker through the trees. Her phone buzzed inside her bag. She already knew who it was. Brooke, she said softly, answering. Yeah, came the hesitant voice on the other end. I wasn't sure if I should call. You probably don't want to see me. I do, Piper said without hesitation. If it weren't for you, I'd still be living that lie, believing I was with the love of my life. Brooke appeared a few minutes later, crossing the park lawn slowly. Gone was the polished, confident woman Piper had seen in the footage. Her hair was pulled into a simple bun, her face bare, her clothes plain. She stopped a few steps away, eyes heavy with guilt. I didn't know, Brooke began, her voice cracking. At first, I thought he was just another married guy looking for a thrill. But when I realized what he was doing to you, what he was really doing, I couldn't be part of it anymore. I went back a few times so he wouldn't suspect anything, but I swear it was only to get proof. Tears welled in Piper's eyes, but her voice stayed calm. I believe you. You could have looked away, pretended it wasn't your problem. But you warned me. That changed everything. Brooke's lip trembled. I couldn't carry that kind of guilt. My life's already a mess, but I wasn't going to let someone like him destroy another person. I just couldn't. Piper reached out, taking her hand. You were brave, Brooke. And I'll never forget that. They sat in silence, hands clasped, the ocean breeze whispering through the leaves. It was a quiet kind of closure, the kind that doesn't erase pain but gives it meaning. Before they parted, Piper pulled an envelope from her purse. This is for you, she said. Don't worry, it's not his money. It's a new start. Brooke hesitated, then took it. Their eyes met one last time, and in that unspoken exchange, they both understood it was time to move forward. Separately, but free. Later that day, Piper returned to Tyler's apartment. He opened the door with that familiar, honest smile, the kind that had always made her feel safe. I thought you'd take longer, he said lightly. I had to close a few doors before I could open new ones, she replied. And now I want to live. Really live. Tyler smiled and stepped aside to let her in. The apartment was small but warm, sunlight spilling through the balcony doors. Piper walked slowly through the space, her fingers brushing the edge of the dark wooden table. I don't have much, Tyler said quietly. No mansion. No luxury trips. She laughed softly, a real, unguarded laugh. You have honesty, Tyler. That's worth more than all the rest. He stepped closer, wrapping his arms around her with quiet certainty. Piper leaned into him, resting her head against his chest, breathing in the steady rhythm of something real. For the first time in years, silence felt like peace, not punishment. That night, she fell asleep on the couch, her legs draped across his, a silly movie flickering on the TV. She didn't bother following the plot. For once, she wasn't afraid to close her eyes. Days later, Piper sat in the downtown Santa Barbara notary office, signing the final documents that ended her marriage. Attorney Mitchell slid the papers toward her, watching her carefully. She didn't need reassurance. This isn't the end, she said, handing back the pen. It's the beginning. Outside, the California sun warmed her face as she stepped onto the street, free at last. At Tyler's apartment, Piper started a small balcony garden, daisies, lavender, a few succulents. Every new bloom felt like proof that life could still grow after ruin. One afternoon, as she watered the plants, Tyler came out holding 2 steaming mugs. Chamomile, he said with a playful grin. Unless you want something stronger. And don't worry, no secret ingredients. Piper smiled, taking the cup. I trust you. He sat beside her and they drank in silence. No lies, no poison, no fear. Just peace. Months later, Ryan's trial ended. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Justice at last. Some silences say more than words ever could. When trust is broken, something inside you shatters. But from those shards, strength begins to grow. No one deserves to live under control disguised as love. Real love doesn't confine or corrupt. It nurtures. It respects. It lets you breathe. Starting over is terrifying. But sometimes, that first trembling step toward freedom is exactly where healing begins. And when peace finally finds you, you realize that's what you were searching for all along. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.